Woo! Man, was that some good stuff? Yeah, that was good. Wow. Well, I had got all these text messages last night and this morning about, man, we're sorry we're not going to be there, we're not feeling good, or people are traveling, and I don't believe them. I'm thinking they got some turkey hangover still. Anybody still have some turkey coma? You could be honest. How many turkey sandwiches have you eaten since Thursday? 10? 12? What? How many? Somebody said 15? Okay. Well, there's a debate in the Morrison household, so I'm going to ask you the question. My son and I had gotten into this argument, so I'm going to ask you guys, and if you don't answer right, I'll pray for your salvation. But he said, in my side of the team over here, when you make a turkey sandwich, you put mayonnaise and turkey on the turkey sandwich. Anybody in that field? Mayonnaise. I see some people shaking their head no. Okay, a lot. He says, no, Dad, what you do is you take mashed potatoes and stuffing and turkey and put it on the sandwich. Anybody in that field? Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we have some people, we have some sinners in need of a Savior. Goodness. Oh, man. All right, well, it looks like we win still. So, Charlie, sorry, bro. You saw it. It's mayonnaise. So, man, I'm so excited that you're here today. I'm so thankful that you're here today. You know, we have so much to be thankful for. And we're in a message collection called In Abundance, where we can live in abundance. What does the abundant life look like? And we talked, you guys remember the first week we talked about graciousness and generosity and how we could be just so heavily generous to those around us. Then the next week we got to see that in abundance with the joy of Matt Seco. Was that not just fun last week when Matt Seco was here? Yeah, so much fun. Yes. And then you guys got to show your graciousness and your generosity to them. And my goodness, you guys bless them so much. And this week, today, we're going to be talking about a phrase that maybe will sound a little bit odd at first, but I think it's going to sink in. And we're going to be talking about praises in the process, what that looks like to praise in the process. And let me introduce this idea to you. And I'm guessing that a lot of you, you're going to be able to relate on one level or another in this, is for so much of my life, I have lived under this illusion that there's something around the corner, right? Something out there that's coming that really, really matters. And it matters more than what I'm doing right now. I've just had that. There's something around the corner that's going to make the difference. It's going to be that thing, that desire, that event that I'm looking for. It's that whatever that something that's going to bring meaning into my life and fulfillment into my life, to give me the significant moment, that I've been looking for. It's not here. It's somewhere there. Anybody else relate a little bit to that? Am I the only one? I got one person I'm preaching to today. Okay, cool. Connie, it's just me and you in this place, right? And I started thinking, I don't know if you've ever noticed that some people live their whole life waiting for the next season. I have a buddy that tells me all the time. He says, Scott, life's going to get easier when things slow down. And he's been saying that since 1998. At this point, I'm convinced the only thing really slowing down is him. That's it. Sorry, bro. I'll give you an example of how this plays out in my life, and maybe it's a story that you can relate to, a similar version. Maybe your understanding is let's just go, we'll talk about ministry, the category of ministry. For me, it was when I was first starting in ministry, and it was okay, well, we were meeting in a home, and then my thought was, man, if we could just get to a building, man, the win then, right? Win then. When we get to a building, then we're going to be doing great. So then we get a building, we start renting this Fraternal Order of Police. We're renting out that building. When we get into a bigger building, then we're going to be able to grow and we'll be able to do more. I kept thinking more and more, when then when we moved into a school. So now we got this humongous theater. And when we get into our own building, then we're going to be able to be, service 7 days a week. And when then, and then I was like, when I get a full-time person employed, oh man, I could take advantage of them and abuse them. We could do ministry together. Oh man, I was so excited. When then? I was like, boom. I just kept seeing the next in ministry. Take it with my family. Same thing. When I finally will meet the girl of my dreams, when I finally meet her, I'm going to marry her. And that's when life's going to start. And then I meet Dee Dee. Oh man, I meet Dee, right? Oh dear God. Thank you, Dee Dee. She's still in Phoenix for another 2 days. Oh girl. I wasn't flirting with you. It was with her. You guys were like, how did you get her with that flirting? That's right. You know, girl, you're watching. I'm just saying. I'm thinking, oh man, oh dear God, we get married. And then Lord, whenever life is going to start then, when we have kids, life is going to start then. When kids get out of diapers, life is going to start then, right? You guys ever have that? When they start walking, life is going to start, right? When they start driving, then. When they get to college, we'll be able to eat again. It's going to be real nice. Yes. All these different things. When, then. When, then. And I found myself in whatever season that I was in, wishing the current season away. Waiting for the next one to come. One day, just around the corner. There'll be that something, that achievement, that accomplishment, that friendship. That possession, that vacation. There'll be that something that fills this emptiness inside. But around every corner was the same thing. It was day after day. It was just another challenge. It was just another vision, another dream. Like this is what it was. Another perceived prize. That's what it was. And I live long enough now that they kind of look back and to see that the real weakness is in my own life. And what I notice is for so much of my life, I've been pursuing what I want. My passions, my dreams, my visions, my goals. Whatever I get, it's going to be from what I see. I want what's right now. And that culture tells us the same thing. Every commercial we see, every social media we see is the same thing. I thought about this morning. I thought, man, it would be really cool if we could, as FBC, afford a commercial for the Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be awesome? Super Bowl's on, boom, commercial, and it's just a black screen, and it says, you have everything you need. FBC. Fulfill yourself, indulge yourself, get whatever you want. You deserve it. This is a you world, and we're all just living in it. Right? We've gotten this mindset of treating yourself when that's not what God says. He says to deny yourself. Right? That's a Greek abbreviation. Yeah. He says, you deny it, you take up your cross. We're talking about a metaphor of a picture where he says, you're actually dying to your own fleshly habits, your own fleshly desires. You are dying to it, and you're picking it up spiritually. You're saying, my spirit now, he says, follow me. You live by my spirit. You don't treat yourself. You deny yourself. There's a verse that I want to use as kind of our anchor verse for today, for the message. It's from Apostle Paul, and we're going to talk a lot about Apostle Paul today. But he says in 1 is still all, no matter what, it's still all. It's not some, it's all for the glory of God. Every single thing, whatever you do, whether you're doing laundry, whether you're picking up your kids, or you're taking them to another event, you're running errands for your boss, you're doing something that isn't a big deal. Whatever you do it for the glory of God. You do it for the glory of God. All things. And when I look at so much of my life, if I'm really honest, whatever I do is mostly for me. That's the truth. What I want to do makes me happy. It makes me feel good. It fulfills my dreams. It fulfills my wants and my desires. Man, we're getting into a Christmas season. We're going to be overwhelmed with this thought. And I want us to say, stop saying, man, it's time to quit. I just want to indulge myself and I want to deny myself. Pastor, this isn't fun. Yes, it is. Man, whatever you do, if to really have a meaning in life, you do it for the glory of God. My goodness. You want a life that's in abundance? You want to live a life that's in abundance? Well, man, this is what I'm beginning to realize the truth is that the prize is not out there somewhere. The prize isn't what you accomplish occasionally. That's not it. The prize is what you do daily when you do it for the glory of God. Amen, Scott. Let me say that again. Maybe you didn't sink in. I don't know. The prize isn't what you accomplish occasionally. I got the raise. I got the thing. The prize isn't what you accomplish occasionally. The prize is what you're doing daily when you do it for the glory of God. Every day, every moment, you do it for the glory of God. So I want to ask you 3 questions, and I'll tell you in advance these 3 questions. They're going to become statements for you that are going to drive everything that we talk about today in the message. So what ifs? What if? What ifs? What if? Here you go. Here are your what ifs. What if the work is the reward? What if the prize is in the practice? What if you can praise in the process? What if whatever you do, you can find meaning and fulfillment and divine satisfaction when you do it all for the glory of God? My goodness. I want to show you a text. It's very personal to me by, again, the Apostle Paul. 1 Corinthians 15, starting in verse 9. This is what Paul says. He's kind of being transparent, maybe he's a little bit vulnerable. He says, I'm the least of the apostles, and I don't even deserve to be called an apostle because I persecuted the church of God. In other words, before I was a Jesus follower, I was really, really bad. I hated Christians so much that I killed them. He says, but everybody say it. But. He said, but by the grace of God, I am what I am. Come on now. And his grace to me was not without effect. But this is my story. By the grace of God, I am what I am. His grace to me was not without effect. For many of you, that's your story. You weren't good. You weren't faithful. You weren't always righteous. But by the grace of God, you are now who you are. Not because you're good, but because he was good. Now you're becoming who he wants you to be because his grace for you was not without effect. But the sad thing is, some of you are here today that his grace has been without effect. Ask yourself that honest question. Has this grace been without effect in my life? Have you let it settle into your heart? Has it changed you? Well, the good news is you're in the right place at the right time. Right? Let's go. Available to do the work of God. And maybe your story might become a but by the grace of God. Maybe, right? God, I am who I am. Paul goes on to say this, and I love what he says. He says, no, I worked harder than all of them. I am only what I am by the grace of God, and I worked harder than the rest of them. Yet, not I, but by the grace of God that was with me. What did he just say? I wasn't good, but the grace of God transformed me. And because of who Jesus is, and because of what he did, I worked hard. I worked harder than the rest of them. But it wasn't me doing the work. It was the grace of God through me doing what God called me to do. I worked harder than all of them. And man, this verse ministers to me on so many different levels. What I like about it is I truly don't think Paul was bragging. And I don't think he was complaining. I think he was stating facts. This is a matter of fact. By the grace of God, I just worked hard. I've been so transformed by Jesus because of who he was and by what he did that I just went to work and I did it. And I began to imagine the depths of what he did. Have you ever thought about the depths of the sacrifices of the Apostle Paul? Man, I can't even imagine the sacrifices he made. In fact, I would love it if I could go back in time and there would be this sit-down moment by a fire with Paul. Just think about it, sitting by a fire pit. Think about this. You sitting across from him, right? And he's drinking wine. I'm drinking water because I don't drink. But we're just sitting there going back and forth and talking. And I'm like, man, we're just chatting. Unpack this, bro. Unpack this for me. Tell me what you mean by that. You said you work harder. What does that mean? And I can imagine him saying, like, well, okay, I'm not bragging, but while other people went to bed, I probably stayed up a little bit later praying and strategizing. I got up earlier. I got into the office earlier, really to seek God's presence. And I wanted to make sure that I did things right for God. When I most desired comfort, I realized that following Jesus was not going to be comfortable. I was beaten and I had to go on. I was shipwrecked and I had to go on. I mean, my goodness, I was bit by a poisonous snake. Didn't like that. Shook that off. Had to go on. Right? And he just kind of tells the story. While others took shortcuts, I always tried to do the right thing. I could just see him saying this now. Like, man, Scott, I just memorized so much of the word I hid it in my heart and I let it renew my mind. I focused on his word. And if he's really being humble, he could have said, I don't want to say anything, but I wrote, most of the New Testament, just saying. I can imagine this. Can you imagine him saying this stuff? Like, man, when I was in prison, I kept on working. I served Jesus even when I was in prison. I went to cities that didn't have a single Christian there. And imagine this. We started churches in these cities. One person received Christ. We shared Christ with them. The next person. We raised up leaders. And it wasn't that we had a ton of stuff, but my goodness, we just worked hard and got the job done. And I think if you can look at this kind of objectively and just step back, what you would find is you would probably just say, man, Paul was not wishing his current season away. Wherever he was all there. Whatever he did, he was doing it for the glory of God. When he was in prison, he didn't say, one day when I'm finally out of prison, then I can get back to what God called me to do. Nope. He just said, whatever you do, I'm going to do it for the glory of God. It doesn't matter. Whatever I do, I'm doing it for God. I'm doing it no matter what, it's for him. If you chain somebody up to me, you could chain them to me, but I'm sharing the gospel with them. It doesn't matter. Somebody get me a pen. Somebody get me some paper. I got to write a letter to the Philippians. He just kept going. It did not matter. Why? Because they need it. When they was shipwrecked, I don't think you ever heard him say, well, God, you let me down. I mean, I prayed for protection, and then I'm shipwrecked again. I don't know why he sounds like Barney, but it just sounded like that to me. He's like, you know what? We didn't die in the shipwreck, so that means God is still with us. We still have a job to do. When Barnabas left him, he didn't say, oh, I can't take this anymore, man. Christians, you just can't trust them. Right? I'm going to leave them to Sunday school because all Christians are the same. Barnabas hurt my feelings. No, he said, you know what? I don't have time for this. I'm not going to get bitter. We just still have work to do because whatever I'm doing it for the glory of God. And I don't know how this would apply to you. But my goodness, changing diapers, you're making sales calls, you're doing laundry, you're doing something for your boss. You just say in that moment at this time, even though it may not be incredibly attractive from the outside, I'm doing it with integrity, with a purity of heart, with the heart of a servant. And I'm declaring right now in this task that I'm doing it for the glory of God. It does not matter what I do it for Him. And man, when you live this way, you just suddenly, you wake up, and when you start to realize, wow, maybe the work is in the reward. Maybe that prize is truly in the process. I'm seeing it now. And in everyday life, when you're grinding it out in this, you're trying to do the best thing, just in the normal things, you could say, I can truly be grateful, God. But we have enemies, guys. Did you know that? We have enemies, and let me give you 3 enemies of a true reward. You want 3 enemies of this reward. The first one is this. It's what I call the blanket, the seduction of comfort. Right? That's what we want, the blanket. This is what we want. I want to be happy, comfortable, living. And I don't know what it looks like for you, but for some people, maybe I just want a better home. I need a better home. And for whatever reason, just fill in the blanks. Well, I need walk-in closets. I don't have a walk-in closet, so I need a walk-in closet. It could be granite countertops. I got to get granite. Maybe it's a gas stove. Maybe it's 3-car garage. I don't know. I need heated bathroom floors. Oh, come on now, someone. That's living. Whatever it is, right? I remember when I was first, I'll never forget at first, I wanted to get away from this and into this. Remember that? You remember when you first had that and you were like, let's go. Now everything's good in life again, right? But it's just like we're constantly seeking the next thing for comfort. Are you saying, Scott, I can't have nice things? I didn't say that. Man, I love the fact that God blesses us, but when we move the blessings from our hands into our heart, the identity changes from blessing to idols. When we start to focus so much on the gift and not the giver, this is what we see happen. And I just hope you understand that we want easy so bad, but God never called us to easy. He didn't call us to easy. He called us to deny ourselves. Easy never changed the world. And yet, the blanket cries out the seduction of comfort. It's what happens. There's also the distraction of what I call the shiny thing. There's your next one, the shiny thing. The allure of constant distractions. You know it's important, but bing, notification. I got to get on. Oh my God, I wonder what she posted on Facebook. And the next time, Or we're just we're out watching Netflix and it just keeps running. Are you still watching? We're like, yeah, keep running. Matter of fact, the next show says we're 99% compatible for the next show. That must be God giving me that. My goodness, we're so distracted. We got to have little Johnny in the elite traveling soccer league. He's got to get a scholarship to the NCAA. Yes, I realize he's just 3, but he's got to, Got to get him involved in everything. Shiny thing. It's the carrot. It's the carrot. And the donkey continues to chase the carrot, and you never, ever seem to find real satisfaction because you've been fooled by the shiny thing. And then there's the enemy called the towel. That's your next one, the towel. The perpetual temptation to quit, to throw in the towel. When the marriage gets difficult, I'm not in love anymore, it's not worth it, throw in the towel. Trying to get your finances together in order. I'm working so hard, but it just seems like I'm still broke. You know what? I'm just going to get another credit card. We're going to go out to eat. We're going to go buy a new dress. We're going to go buy a new whatever. You just throw in the towel. Christianity. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I've had some version of this. Well, I tried God. I went to church twice, I read my Bible for a day, and the people in church were mean, and I didn't like it. I couldn't get a parking place, and they weren't waving at me, and I'm just out here. I'm just going to throw in the towel. You know how it is. They didn't appreciate me. I'm not making that much of a difference. This is just too hard. Throw in the towel. Listen, you can either throw in the towel or you can pick the towel up, wipe the sweat off your brow, and get back into the game. Let's go. Of doing whatever you do in the moment, you're doing it for the glory of God. And suddenly you realize the work is the reward. The prize is the process. Man, I could be grateful in every single day. Can I tell you a little pet peeve I have? Should I do it? All right, James says do it. Graduation speeches, bro. That just drives me nuts. I'm sorry. The normal graduation speech is the follow your passion, follow your heart. You guys know it. You've heard it. I've heard them, we had youth groups all over every church I've been at. We had to go to all of the graduations, and you hear all the same thing. But here's the problem, young graduates, young adults that are in here. Your passion doesn't always pay the bills. Anybody agree with me? Any adults out there say, yeah. Yeah. Man, the problem with passion is selfish passion is about us. There's a higher calling, and it's not selfish passion, but it's selfless purpose. It's a higher calling, and once you start to recognize that you're doing God's purpose, what's so amazing is the passion always follows purpose. It's the craziest thing. So instead of me being the starting point, I need to do what I want to do to be happy. Instead of that, when God is the starting point, whatever you do it for the glory of God. And you start to realize in the middle of even what you may not have chosen, God still has a purpose that you recognize, and you're doing what God has called you to do. And even in that moment, though it may not be your favorite thing, when you're serving His purpose, your passion starts, and it always follows the purpose. I'm telling you, it happens every time. Those of you that have done it know what I'm talking about. I had a guy that was just incredibly talented. And he went to a church, and he knew his purpose. He knew his potential. And they didn't use him for his potential. And he could have walked out. He was leading massive worship, leading massive churches, massive amounts of people. And he said, you know what? I started working. You know what I started doing? I started cleaning up all the rooms. I started vacuuming the rooms. I started dusting everything. I did that for a year. And I had so much, that was my purpose. I had so much passion that followed that purpose. I just fell in. And I think about Paul for a minute. The guy was passionate about something. Have you thought about that? Paul was a regular person, you guys. I don't know if you knew that. He was a regular dude. And I don't know what it might have been. Maybe he was like playing guitar and like, I'm going to be the first Justin Bieber. I don't know. He's probably making clips of himself. Like, check it out. It's me, Paul. Bring. He's having a good old time putting his clips on YouTube. They're going to discover me. I know they are. Maybe it was painting. Maybe he's like, no, I'm going to paint, pretty trees, pretty little trees. He's thinking, I'm just going to paint. And they're going to want this all the time. If he was living today, he'd be like, man, can you imagine? He'd probably be like, man, I seen this Tesla. I want to be a Tesla. I need a Tesla to be happy. I need a Mercedes to be happy. I need the next truck to be happy. Whatever it is, Paul had his own passions. There were things that he was excited about. Can I tell you what he was not passionate about? Let me promise you, he was not passionate about getting beaten and left for dead. I promise you that. He was never, if I could only do that, I'd be so happy in life. But instead of pursuing selfish, self-centered passion, what he did was that he pursued God's purpose. And suddenly he would say things like Acts 20:24, I consider my life worth nothing to me. None of my dreams, my wants. My only aim is to finish the race, complete the tasks the Lord Jesus has given me. We could say this, my only dream is to feel God's purpose. And what is that? The task of testifying to the good news of God's grace. What does purpose do? Purpose helps us feel passionate about ordinary things. Something mundane, something ordinary starts to take on meaning. Whatever I do, even if it's boring, even if it feels insignificant, I'm doing it for the glory of God. Some of you experienced that this week, last week. You guys know what I'm talking about. You went in and you sat there and you held these little babies in the baby room. You're praying over these babies in the baby room. You worked at Awana. You were there with these Awana kids and you're pouring in to these kids. You worked at Elevate. You're sitting down having serious conversations with them. And then you realize in the moment, God is using me to pour spiritual life into an emerging generation. When you simply open up your home and say, I want to have a home group, a place where people can find this spiritual connection. What normally seems ordinary becomes extraordinary because it's not just a task, but it's a purpose directed by God, and passion always follows purpose. Paul, he gives us a real profound images. He says this, he says, I'm not running like someone who's running aimlessly. I love that. I love this image. I'm running in a direction. He says, I'm not boxing like someone who's shadow boxing. I'm in a real spiritual fight. He says, I run with purpose. This is huge. This is what he said. I run with purpose in every single step. Imagine that. Imagine waking up when I wake up, God, today is your day. This is the day that the Lord has made. And whatever I do, whatever it is, if it seems big, exciting, or small and insignificant, God, I'm choosing to find purpose in this. Because you know why I'm doing this? For your glory. I'm not running like a man running aimlessly. I'm running with a purpose in every step. I'm directed by your Spirit. I'm empowered by your word. I'm loving people everywhere I go. Come on, somebody. When I walk into a room, the Spirit of God walks into the room with me. I'm a climate changer. I'm a people lover. I lift moods of people. When I come into this dark room, I bring light with me. There's nowhere that I go that I don't go on purpose. I go with the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead, dwelling within me. I walk in with purpose. I am here as an ambassador right now, an ambassador of the Most High God, the highest ranking diplomat, sent from heaven to earth to represent the goodness and the love and the grace of God. Amen. That's what we do. It's this step, this step, this step. I take it with purpose, this step. And my word of encouragement is to you is to walk in purpose. Take your steps in purpose. It's on purpose. We don't do any of this half-heartedly. We do it with purpose. Whatever I do, I'm doing it for the one who changed my life. Has he changed your life? Prove it. Walk with a purpose. Every day, I'm directed by your Spirit. I'm directed by your Spirit. Because it's not me doing the work. It's the grace of God in me that's getting it done. Let's go. Whatever you do. And I don't know who this is going to speak to. When you're driving your kids all over town, you do it for the glory of God. When you're preparing for grad school, you do it for the glory of God. When my goodness, when you're fighting to hold your marriage together, you're doing it on purpose, with purpose, and every step for the glory of God. When you're caring for an aging parent, when you feel like you're called to do something more and you're stuck in a job that you just don't love, when you're healing from a crushing disappointment of somebody in your life or something in your life, when you're battling cancer, when you're paying down debt, you're doing whatever it is for the glory of God. Glory of God. Recognizing His purpose in that moment, every moment. And somehow passion seems to always follow purpose. The prize is not when you get the promotion. The prize isn't when you get the fancy car. The prize isn't even when you go to the beach or the mountains or you go to the place where the big mouse is. I don't care. The prize isn't when you're at the 5-year dream comes true, when you get discovered or when you finally make the big bucks. That's not the prize. The prize is now. The prize is here, right now. This is the day that the Lord has made. Yeah. Some of y'all better work off some of the mashed potatoes right now. I know I am. You know why I do this? I do this for the glory of God. Why do I have the passion that I do? Why do I speak the way that I do? Because I do it for Him. And I believe in the product that He sells. I believe everything He says. So when I say, please, please, my goodness, I want you to become more bold in spirit, because we speak boldly about what we believe in deeply. You know. You guys watch a TV show, and what do? Oh, girl, you got to watch this show, right? Hey, we got to check this out, bro. You're willing to, because you believe in it. Do you believe in Him that much that you're willing to share Him? Because the grace of Jesus has so transformed you. I cannot contain His goodness. And people are amazed by my boldness. I also become faithful in service, because serving is not just something that I do. Serving isn't just what I do. A servant is who I am, of the Most High God. And when I serve others, I'm serving Christ. Man. I'm not trying to be the GOAT here on earth, the greatest of all time. No, I want to be great by serving, so that one day when I stand before Jesus and He will say, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's the goal. When I'm selfless, I become an extravagant giver, generosity. I just give without holding back. We truly believe, as followers of Jesus, that we are truly more blessed to give than receive. Therefore, we lead with the way with this rational generosity. And when I recognize that I have been transformed by the grace of God and His glory, then whatever I do is not for me, but it's all for the glory of God. As I run with purpose with every single step I take, every single step you take. And as I serve Him faithfully in His purpose, the passion follows, because I'm not doing it for me, I'm doing it for Him. And then one day I wake up in the middle of the mundane, in the middle of the normal, and I say, God, I've experienced You here, and I am full of Your goodness and overflowing with Your joy, because I've discovered that the work is the reward. It's a joy to serve. It's a joy to serve You and to sacrifice for Your kingdom. The prize is in the process. Whatever I do it for You. Have you gotten to that point of whatever I do, God, whatever I do it for the glory of God? because of who you are and what you've done for me.